Listening is an act of love. Thank you. You can help lift up the voices, stories, and challenges we share by making a contribution at thiswayout.org.
A sincere thank you to all of you who already support This Way Out. Your support matters.
I'm Wendell Jones.
And I'm Wendy Natividad.
With News Wrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending August 14th, 2021. Lesbian and gay couples in the Mexican state of Baja California can now get married without a court order. The state legislature removed a constitutional ban on equality in June. Of Baja's 5 municipalities, the town councils of Tijuana, Mexicali, and Tecate have now approved the change, triggering its publication in the official state journal on August 8th. The Mexican Supreme Court ruled in favor of marriage equality in 2015, but left each of Mexico's 31 states to implement the decision independently. 20 states have opened civil marriage to queer couples since then, mostly by legislation. Queer couples living in the other 11 Mexican states who wish to marry must still get a federal court injunction, an amparo. That's a lengthy and often expensive process requiring a lawyer, even though federal judges cannot refuse to grant the amparo under the Supreme Court's marriage equality ruling. In the Federal District of Mexico City, same-gender couples have been able to legally marry since 2010.
A gay Taiwanese-Macanese couple legally married in Taipei on August 13th after fighting for 2 years to walk down the aisle. 29-year-old Ting Se-yen won his challenge to Taiwan's landmark 2019 civil marriage law. It allowed queer couples to wed, but placed restrictions on Taiwan citizens marrying foreign partners. The foreign partner must be from a country that also embraces marriage equality. Ting's 33-year-old spouse, Leong Chin-fai, is from Macau, which does not. A court ruling in May cleared the way for their marriage, but it only applies to them. The newlywed couple has formed a group to help more than 100 other Taiwanese queers marry their partners from non-marriage equality countries. Speaking to Agence France-Presse, the couple's attorney, Victoria Xu, called it discriminatory treatment because one's partner comes from a certain country. Can any heterosexual citizens accept if they are allowed to wed an American but not a Japanese? Xu also advocates for the Taiwan Alliance to promote civil partnership rights. That group has appealed to the government watchdog Control Yuan to fix the problem.
Guyana's law making cross-dressing a crime was overturned on August 10th. The bill to remove provisions of the British colonial-era law was introduced in Parliament in June. It passed with the support of Attorney General Anil Nadlal. A misdemeanor offense that fined and sometimes jailed men who dressed in women's clothing, the law was long used to harass transgender women. It required a court appearance and was usually punished with fines equivalent to $35. A court in the South American country found 4 cross-dressers guilty of wearing female attire for an improper purpose in 2013, insinuating their purpose to be fooling men into having sex. The advocacy group Guyana Transgender Association challenged the decision in the Trinidad-based Caribbean Court of Justice. That yielded a ruling 3 years ago that found criminalizing cross-dressing to be unconstitutional. Quincy McEwen was one of the 4 people convicted in 2013. He told the Associated Press, "We were traumatized every time we prepared to go out as we didn't know if we were going to be arrested and placed in the lockups." Guyana's Society Against Sexual Orientation Discrimination continues to lobby lawmakers to repeal colonial-era laws criminalizing same-gender sex. The group held the country's first-ever Pride Parade in 2018.
2 Cameroonian trans women were violently pulled out of a taxi and back into the news this week. Popular social media personality and fashion expert Shakiro and her friend Patricia have been out on bail since mid-July, pending an appeal of their dining while trans case. Shakiro told Human Rights Watch that a mob of men dragged them from the car during the early morning hours of August 8th in the seaside city of Douala. They were stripped naked and beaten for close to 30 minutes before police finally arrived. The assailants fled. Both victims required medical treatment. Shakiro and Patricia were arrested in February at a Douala restaurant and sentenced to 5 years in prison each for dressing as women, failure to produce proper government identification, and attempted homosexuality. Queer activists described the viral video capturing this week's attack as horrific. Shakiro said, "I was hit everywhere on my body by several people. I had to play dead. It was the only way to survive. The friends filed a police complaint against their attackers, but no one expects any official action. Same-gender sex is illegal in the West African nation, and anti-queer sentiment has been on the rise. Human Rights Watch reports that since Shakiro and Patricia were arrested in February, Cameroonian security forces have arbitrarily arrested, beaten, or threatened at least 24 people for alleged consensual homosexual conduct or gender nonconformity, including a 17-year-old boy. One person was tested for HIV and forced to undergo an anal examination, which is supposed to prove homosexual activity, but doesn't. Shakiro and Patricia's appeal hearing is scheduled for September.
Forced anal examinations are also in the news this week in Uzbekistan, one of the two former Soviet Union satellites that still criminalize private consensual adult same-gender sex. 9 global rights groups united on August 5th to urge Uzbekistan President Shavkat Mirziyoyev to push for an immediate ban on the bogus practice.
It's widely agreed that anal exams do nothing to prove homosexual activity, and in fact, they amount to torture. The impressive list of groups lobbying Mirziyoyev includes the Council for Global Equality, the Eurasian Coalition on Health, Rights, Gender, and Sexual Diversity, Human Rights Watch, ILGA Europe, the International Partnership for Human Rights, the London-based Human Dignity Trust, the US-based Freedom Now and Human Rights Campaign, and Germany's Lesbian and Gay Federation.
Their call for action includes claims that at least 6 men have been subjected to forced anal examinations since 2017. The Uzbek government is unlikely to heed the call. A draft measure to tighten the screws on same-gender sex in the Central Asian nation was leaked in April. It enhances criminal code provisions that already outlaw homosexuality, describing it as a crime against family, children, and morality. An even more worrisome provision could make advocacy for LGBTQ rights illegal. It bans disrespect for society, the state symbols, national and universal values, and public protest in violation of the established order.
As the dust settles on the Tokyo Olympics, queer sports fans are gleefully counting the medals won by out and proud LGBTQ athletes. NBC News reports that Team LGBTQ grabbed a total of 32 medals. At least 182 out competitors from some 30 countries attended the Tokyo Games. The queer website Outsports says that's triple the number who were at the Rio Games in 2016. Pink News declared that if Team LGBTQ was a country, it would have placed 11th in the medal count, just ahead of Canada and Brazil and behind France. Their 32 medalists took home 11 gold, 12 silver, and 9 bronze. There were a number of queer firsts in Tokyo. You'll find many heartwarming stories about individual competitors at Outsports.com.
Finally, 5 years later, LGBTQ people will again be protected from discrimination in Charlotte, North Carolina. The City Council unanimously approved a measure on August 9th to add sexual orientation, gender expression and identity, familial status, veteran status, pregnancy, and natural hairstyle to the list of characteristics already protected by the city's anti-discrimination laws. Most of the ordinance takes effect on October 1st. Specific workplace protections will come into force early next year. A similar Charlotte ordinance in 2016 started the national bathroom bill firestorm and prompted the Republican-controlled state legislature and then Governor Pat McCrory to deny trans people the right to use public facilities like bathrooms and locker rooms based on their gender identity. That measure also banned local jurisdictions from passing discrimination protections for queer people. Most parts of the state law were subsequently repealed, but local governments are still forbidden from regulating bathrooms and public changing facilities. Charlotte Mayor Vi Lyles told local NBC TV affiliate WCNC,
"You look at the track record for this council to have authentic debates about things that will make a difference in this community. They have stepped up and done it every way, and I am really appreciative of that."
For one local trans activist, after the turmoil 5 years ago, the new ordinance is a happy ending.
That's News Wrap, global queer news with attitude, for the week ending August 14th, 2021. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
News Wrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazer, and brought to you by you.
Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast and much more.
And you can read the transcript and listen to News Wrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out radio channel on YouTube. For This Way Out, I'm Wenzel Jones. Stay healthy.
And I'm Wendy Natividad. Stay safe.
This Way Out delivers LGBTQ news and culture to more than 150 local communities on radio stations around the world, and we are also a free online news service. You can choose your favorite way to listen, online or on the air, at thiswayout.org. Please sign up for our free e-newsletter, Inside This Way Out. We will respect your trust in us and make sure your personal information is never shared with others.
Just send us an email at info@thiswayout.org to receive the informative and unique addition to the show. You'll be invited to join us for a more in-depth look into our stories and be encouraged to learn more about This Way Out's 3 decades of broadcast activism.
We hope you choose to join us in celebration of LGBTQ history and culture. Email us at info@thiswayout.org to join the movement.
We'll make sure you always know what's going on inside This Way Out.